Now I'm joined by CNN legal analyst and former federal prosecutor Shanlon. More Russians indicted. We didn't hear of any Americans in this latest indictment, at least so far. So what conclusions do we draw?
Well, I think the conclusions we can draw for now are that the extensive detail that Shanlon was just mentioning really does a great job of tracking and blueprinting exactly how the Russian agents were doing this. I think the missing piece in the million-dollar question is there a second half of this investigation? Will there be more focus or perhaps more criminal charges on domestic people, some of the unnamed but widely speculated about identities in the indictment? Might not be, but it's possible it could happen.
And the president has made much out of the fact that so far at least no Americans are charged or named in these latest indictments. But Rod Rosenstein said yesterday that the special counsel's investigation is ongoing. So, and you sort of allude that there is another shoe to drop here. There's more to come, obviously.
There certainly could be more to come, and it's interesting. At that press conference, Rosenstein introduced the chief of the National Security Division, and I'm sure that the president's people will spin that as it's a handoff, Mueller's winding down, but it's also a message that even were Mueller to be fired, for example, Main Justice, the National Security Division, would continue to do this. I mean, it's a handoff to them, and Mueller has done that a couple of times now.
Yeah, it continues. It will continue to give it life. There is at least one American, a former Trump campaign advisor, Roger Stone, and he believes that he's being looked at in the Mueller probe, and we want to have you listen to his defense while he spoke with CNN's Chris Cuomo. Take a listen.
I have testified under oath to the House Intelligence Committee that I certainly had a 24-word exchange with the persona Guccifer 2.0 over Twitter direct messages. Anyone, any objective person who will read that exchange, which is included in the indictment, will see that based on content, context, and timing, it's benign, it's innocuous. So in retrospect, I think I probably am the person referred to.
So he's sort of ruling himself in, and he seems to be trying to rule himself out at the same time. Do you think that Roger Stone should be worried?
I think Roger Stone is worried right now, and anytime one finds themselves so front and center in an indictment, that's something to worry about. I mean, certainly the defense he's making right now is a plausible one. It's logical for him to say that he did not know that these were Russian intelligence agents. The question is going to be, what is the context and what else do they know and what else can they find out more with regard to his knowledge? Because it's really going to be his state of mind that makes or breaks him there.
Well, let me ask you this, because this is a question that I wanted to ask someone with your smarts as you have. Does this give us any indication that the Mueller probe is either widening or is it winding down?
I think it's hard to say. I think what it does tell us is that Mueller is comfortable with transitioning. He's comfortable with perhaps setting a foundation for an emergency plan in case he gets fired. He's not a ideologue or a zealot. This is not a Ken Starr investigation where he's showing that he's going to be out to get the president. Mueller's out to do the job and to do it as well as he can and to get it done. I mean, I've worked with Bob Mueller in the same office, and he's a very professional man. This has been a very aggressive, very fast-moving investigation, quite extraordinarily so.
And lastly, we've seen, these 12 Russians who are now indicted, and I think Shanlon was already alluding to the fact that the likelihood that they'll ever be inside a U.S. courtroom is virtually nil. Do you agree with that?
I agree with that. First of all, there's no extradition treaty, and then second of all, these people are quite seasoned professionals. They're not going to make the mistake of accidentally winding up in a country where they might get stopped and extradited.
So that being the case, then what do these indictments really do?
Well, I think very importantly, the indictments send a message which the president may not want to convey, but that the United States knows what they did. They're naming them, they're outing them that way, saying these are the actual people and this is how you did it, and we know that. And I think it's interesting from a Main Justice standpoint, from the Department of Justice standpoint, the president would normally have been briefed on this long before the indictments come out. And it's possible that we're seeing this timing of the indictments before his meeting with Putin as being the only way that his Justice Department can make him pay attention to this, that he may just be ignoring it, but by putting indictments out there, he's got to deal with it.
Right. Very interesting point. Shambu, thanks very much.
Thanks.